Hello yogis, my name is Daniel Cumming, aka the Yogi Bunny. Welcome back to part 2 of my Garudasana flow for the month. So we're focusing on eagle pose. So I'm going to assume that you've either watched the introduction to this month's classes or you've seen part 1. So that way I can skip explaining a few of them and get straight into it. So what we're going to do, we're just going to start with this open curtain flow. So if you're not familiar, it's basically opening up a curtain out to the sides. Great way to warm up the shoulders and begin to move. So as we inhale, lifting up the arms up overhead, exhale, crossing over in front, each time crossing over a different arm. Really starting to get the shoulders up around the ears, rotating around. Good. And then on the exhale, we're going to cross the arms and then hug the shoulders. Doesn't matter which side it's on, just wherever you come to. We're going to ground down through the tailbone. As we inhale, we lift, and then exhale, folding in. So this is really starting to warm us up towards the eagle. Inhale, lift. Exhale, draw it in. Good, one more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale in. Good, with one elbow on top of the other. It doesn't matter which one, we're going to do both sides. But we're going to walk the hands around either the forearm or the hand. Now, if you skip to this one and you can't take eagle arms, you can just press the backs of the hands together, drawing the elbows in. So from eagle, we're going to inhale, lift the elbows up, draw the chest up and forward, and then as we exhale, drawing everything down. So tucking the chin, lifting up in behind the shoulder blades a little bit. Good. Inhale, lift the chest, exhale, sink in. Good, take both feet out in front. We're going to lift the chest, shuffle the hips forward a little bit towards the feet. On the inhale, we lift the chest and the arms, but we point the toe this time. If you can't point the foot, just lift the knee. That right knee lifts. And then exhale, lower that right foot. Good, other leg. So inhale, left leg extends or just lifts that left knee. Exhale, folding in. Inhale, right leg. Exhale in. One more time. Left leg extends, exhale, release. Good, with the arms bound, one more time, lifting both legs. So knees towards the middle, squeezing in together, lift the chest. Relax the arms. Good. Sweep both arms up. So we get a lift, palms or fingertips together. And holding here with the chest up, we're just going to cross over the feet a few times. So warming up the core, lifting that chest forward. It doesn't have to come very high. If you fall out, you can just tap the ground. And eventually crossing the legs the other way. So the maybe awkward way you don't normally cross your legs. And then taking this closed curtain flow. Good, relaxing through the arms, slowing down with the breath, maybe if the heart rate's increased a little bit. Nice. Good, and then we're going to cross the arms over the opposite way. Good. So if you can't remember, just go for the eagle arms bind, and you should notice straight away which one you went for on the last one. Now lift, exhale, tuck in. Good, and then we're going to bind those arms around. So lifting up towards the ceiling. Exhale, folding in. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Good, both feet out. Inhale, that right foot extending. Exhale, draw that right foot back down. Inhale, left foot lifts. Exhale. One more time each side. Just creating that heat now. Good. Last time, lifting both legs. Relax through the arms. You can lift them both up. Crossing the legs over a few times and eventually coming down, taking this closed door, closed curtain flow, relaxing through the shoulders. And then exhale, floating the hands down. We're going to come up and over into all fours. So wrists stacked beneath the shoulders, knees stacked beneath the hips. Press into the fingertips a little bit and open up through the shoulders. So first we're just going to roll these shoulders around a little bit. So have more weight into the right hand as we just roll that left shoulder around a few times. Good. Just loosen it off. Transfer the weight into that left hand and just, it's like this elbow is just taking a little rotation, a little circle round. Good. We're really going to focus on this shoulder loosening and opening throughout the class. I'm going to inhale forward, and then as we exhale, draw the elbows in, pressing through the fingertips, lowering down nice and slow, pressing the earth away, all the way down to the belly. We're going to come into a locust pose. So drawing the hands by the side, chin tucked in. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the thighs. Bit of a squeeze with the glutes to help lift the legs. Bit of a squeeze in between the shoulder blades to help lift that chest. Option to take a little bind with the hands in behind the body. Lifting the chest up a little bit more. Press through the feet like you're launching off the side of the pool. Press through the crown of the head. And then with the last inhale here, a little bit of a skydiver variation. Lift up a little bit more. And then just completely softening. Okay, so just slowing down that heart rate if it's increased. Maybe shuffling the legs a little bit more back and swaying the hips from side to side, loosening off the hips. That's good. We're going to frame the chest. We're going to inhale, lift up to all fours, and then exhale back into our first child's pose. So drawing the hips back, down towards the heels, extending the arms out, softening it. Good, we'll inhale, lift up to all fours, and exhale up and back into our first downward dog for this flow. So reaching the thighs back, lifting up towards the sky a little bit, like someone's lifting you from underneath the hips. Relax through the shoulders if you can, that head comes hanging in between the arms. And those inside of the elbows are just pointing towards each other. Maybe start to pedal it out a little bit. And then you can start to flow a little bit to warm up the shoulders even more. So as we inhale, you can lower the knees, draw that chest through, lift, relax through the shoulders a bit. Permission to smile, big goofy smile if you want it. And exhale, press back into downward dog. Good, either taking that again or inhale, floating forward into a high plank position, pressing through the fingertips. Drawing that belly in, pressing the heels back, lifting, squeeze through the glutes a little bit. Exhale, pressing it back. There we go. Good, we're going to bring the feet together. We're going to inhale that right foot back, three-legged dog. We're going to take a little tiger curl with the right knee underneath the body. So we'll exhale, float forward like we were doing in that high plank, but this time the knee tracks under. Squeeze our right knee towards the body a little bit more. Inhale, three-legged dog. We're going to come into a low lunge position. So that right foot comes in between the hands. Lower that left knee down. Good. We're going to squeeze everything towards center, draw up. Good. And then exhale, begin to flow here with the arms. chest, really start to shoulders around the ears, adjusting the balance. Eventually coming into standing splits position. So the right foot is going to press down as we lift that left foot up. The hands either come down to the mat, to a block. So the toes of the left foot face the mat. We lift that left leg up, squeeze through the glutes a little bit, maybe ground down through the big toe of that right foot to help get that inner grounding. Good. Breathing through. Like we did in part one of this flow, you can maybe lower that knee back down and then come back to the standing splits if you want to flow a couple of times. Otherwise, if you're standing there, still all the wobbles, all the shakes, strengthening it out, and then eventually lowering that left knee down. We're going to cross that right leg over underneath the body and coming into eagle legs. So these are similar to Gomakasana legs. Lowering down into this child's pose position. And this time, if you want to up it a little bit, what we're going to do is going to lean back. I want you to draw all this towards center. And we're going to take that right arm underneath the left. So eagle arms, drawing everything towards that center position. Good. So you can maybe just sit here and flow a little bit. You can draw the elbows down, maybe pointing forward. You squeeze everything in. Maybe looking forward down the fingers. Otherwise, if you want to up this a little bit, draw the thighs together like that vine wrapping up around itself and lifting up. Then as you exhale, soften through the shoulders, through the hips, lowering down. One more time. You can just take this child's pose position as we did in the first flow. Otherwise, trying this, maybe hugging the shoulders to come out. And then releasing this bind, taking the hands forward. We're going to take a lizard pose now, so that right foot is going to come to the outside of that right hand, opening up through that right hip. Extending that left leg back maybe a little bit more. So maybe if you want to come a bit deeper into this pose, you can begin to lower down the forearms. Soften into the shoulders. Make sure we don't roll to the outer blade of that right foot too much. We want to try to ground it down. You can curl the toes off to help protect that inner groin a little bit more. Feel free to move a little bit or stay static. It's up to you. Good. Now we're eventually going to come into a baby side plank. So that right foot is going to step back in behind the body. And we rotate on, pivot on that left knee. So that right foot comes to the back of the mat. The right hand reaches up towards the ceiling. So if you can see from here, the more the right hand reaches up, the more that body's going to lift. Now, this is perfectly fine. You can maybe start to lift that right foot up a few times. Otherwise, if you want to start progressing towards your side plank, you can ground down that right foot and then just lift that left knee up, squeeze it towards that right thigh, and then lower it back down, relax a little bit. Don't want to straighten this left arm too much, have a bit of a bend. Maybe doing it one more time. And then revolving around, finding all fours. And we're going to work on the shoulder massage again. And what I want you to do is create this wave with the body. So we draw the chest up, forward, down and back. So the movement can be really subtle and small as we roll up and down that spine, or it can be big movements. It's really lifting up and then rolling all the way down. So the body loves to work in these waves. We can even convert this into a downward dog wave as well. So we would lift up through high plank, and then as we come down, we bend the knees and lower down. Don't need to do this on the knees is fine, but for those who want to up it a little bit, there's your option. What we're going to do now is come down to our belly. So I like to take the knees. I've had a couple of shoulder injuries, so I'm always careful with my body and take it slow. Plus you can get plenty out of it, but if you want to take a full plank down, you can. We're going to take a few cobras here. So hands nice and wide to the edges of the mat or outside it. Pressing the fingertips to start off. Lift behind that scruff of the neck to roll up. Exhale down. Good, taking 2 more of these. So as you inhale, I like to press through the thumb and first finger to get a bit of a inward rotation in the shoulders, and then as you exhale down, squeeze through the glutes, press through the pinky fingers, a little bit of external rotation. For that last one, always the option to press down through the full hand, just focusing on the fingertips more than the wrists. Framing that chest, lifting back up to all fours. And then maybe pausing in child's pose on the way to downward dog, or just coming back up straight away and pedaling it out. So we're gonna start our next side of the flow in a couple of breaths. So either pedaling it out in downward dog, drawing your heel down at the time, or making your way there now from child's pose or wherever you were. Good, we're gonna bring the feet together a little bit again. And from downward dog, lifting our left foot up this time. So it's that little 3-legged dog with the left foot up. Bend that left knee, draw it underneath the body. Squeeze it towards the chest. Tiger curl underneath. Inhale it back. And then exhale, left foot comes through the hands. That right knee lowers down. Relax through the shoulders. Lift up, draw up. And then exhale. Begin to find leaping motion. Good, and then finding that standing split. So hands down, right foot lifts, left foot presses down. So really all about the audible breath. So that breath is what's going to support you through, especially holding poses like this. So in and out the nostrils. I like to imagine you're fogging up a window, that strong, dry breath. So either staying here for a few more of these, otherwise you can lower that right knee, sink back in a little bit before inhaling, coming back up, and then back down again. And then eventually lowering that right knee, stepping that left foot across the body, crossing over the legs, sinking back into that child's pose variation with Gomukhasana or Garudasana legs. And then if you took that little Viny lift, you can do that again. This time the left arm is going to come underneath the right. We're going to swivel it around. Let me draw everything in like we did before. And then we can begin to squeeze and lift up. Strengthen it. So drawing that tailbone back, the hips back as we lower down. Good, and then gently softening, releasing. Hands coming in front. Left foot coming out to the side of that left hand for our lizard pose. So you're beginning to open up that left hip a bit more, and then if you came down to the forearms on the other side, you can do that now. Good, keeping with that breath, in and out the belly, especially in these static poses. We don't have to have anything to activate around the core. Soften it. Eventually we're going to transfer into that baby side plank on the other side. So rotate on that right knee as that left foot steps in behind. Lift the left hand. That left foot presses out to the side. Good, you can take a few of these little lifts with that left foot if you want. And if you took that slightly stronger variation, that progression towards full side plank, ground that left foot, bring that right knee up, squeezing it together just as long as you can hold for a breath or two, and then sinking back in. Maybe one more squeeze, try to lift that hip up. Whenever you're ready, you can stay here for a bit longer if you want. And then rotating around. Finding all fours. And you can take that same little spinal roll we took before. We may want to reverse it. So before, if you remember, we came up, forward, down and back. This time we're going to come down, forward, up and back. So rolling up. Good, maybe coming through downward dog. And then however you want to get back down to the mat, on the knees or full plank. I like to, when my elbows reach my shoulders, roll down the hips to protect those shoulders all the way down. And then taking a locust again here, so you can draw those hands in behind, pressing the feet back. Lifting that chest. Or maybe even taking the hands out in front a little bit. You can begin to flow a bit with the arms. And whenever you've had your fill here with your locust, whatever you've been doing with the arms, we're going to sink in and just relax for a couple of breaths. So either cheek or the forehead, down to the hands. If it feels better to have the hands by the side, do that instead. And the next few breaths, no rush, making your way back to downward dog. Having a bit of a pedal out, seeing how it feels already. And we're going to come to the front of the mat. So walking the feet up nice and slow. We'll have about 2 fist widths of distance this time as we come to the front, to the forward fold between the feet, so hip distance apart. Ground down through the heels. We'll lift up halfway first, so brush the shins, flat back, exhale, folding in. So rolling up either the front of the body, or maybe out to the sides if it feels good to open up through the shoulders. And just taking a little bit of a lift, so bringing the fingertips together or interlacing them, looking down towards the feet. Pressing down through the heels, hollow body shape. So looking down just so you can see the toes or close to them. Lifting up and maybe up onto the tippy toes. Reaching up, pressing the palms up. And then sinking. Good, just a little stretch out. Alright, so we're going to bring the feet a little bit closer together. And we're going to raise that right knee up nice and high, drawing the hips back a little bit. And we're going to come into eagle legs, so drawing that right leg around, finding that bind. Should be a pro at this after doing the first part 1 a few times. And then sinking in. Good, so we're going to move straight into full eagle. So we'll do this with the legs bound, and eventually this right arm is going to come underneath the left. We're going to use this prana vinyasa flow we've been doing to come into it. It's meant to throw you off your balance a little bit. Eventually drawing that right arm underneath the left, sinking in, and just being here in your eagle pose for a little while. So if you fall out, come back in. Maybe try to soften through the shoulders a little bit. And if you're a bit seasoned at this pose now, you can close down the eyes. You can try the very advanced smile variation if you'd like. And just focusing on the legs, maybe that bind, you can lift out, get back more into it. And press through the big toe of that left foot. Ground through the inside. And then we're eventually going to step that right foot back into a high lunge position. And we're just going to press back, open up, and just flow a little bit, just very gently relaxing through the arms. This closed door little flow. Good. Next inhale, lifting up. Exhale, hands come all the way down to meet that left foot. We'll step that left foot in behind the body into a three-legged dog position, and then lower it down next to that right foot. We'll lift that right foot into a three-legged dog position. In behind, tiger curl underneath the body. So that right knee draws underneath, squeeze it, hold it here. One full breath. Good, inhale that right foot up and back. Exhale that right foot in between the hands. Find a high lunge position again. Good, and we're gonna flow a little bit here. Good, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna come into a warrior three position. So launch up onto that right foot, that left foot extends back, toes of that left foot are facing down, try to close off that hip. Now it's difficult. Staying here for one full breath, in and out. And then what we're gonna do is lower back into that high lunge position. Take the weight off that front leg a little bit, lean back, half straighten. And then we're gonna inhale back in to warrior three. Exhale, sinking in. Inhale, warrior three. Exhale, step back, high lunge. Inhale, open up, high lunge. Exhale, find your way back to warrior three. Inhale, warrior three. You don't have to do it this fast, I'm just showing you the flow. Exhale, back, high lunge. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, warrior three. Remembering, don't need to speed it up, don't have to go at my pace. And then eventually stepping that left foot back, stepping that right foot in behind the body. Three-legged dog, exhale it down. Good, slowing everything down. Lowering all the way back down to our belly. Taking a nice little cobra or an upward dog. Good, opening up through the shoulders. You can hold here for a couple of breaths, so we'll take another. Good. And we are going to take side plank again. So we're going to revolve around to the left side first. So you can take that baby side plank again, like we did before. Otherwise, if you want to step it up, you can ground down through the outer blade of that left foot, and that right foot can step in front or behind the body, maybe stack on top of the other one. Lift that right hip up a little bit more. Press through the fingertips. Don't have to be here very long. Whenever you're ready, we're going to revolve around high plank and then over towards the opposite side. So whatever you took on the other side, just noticing if there's any differences in each side. And if it is a bit tougher on this side, don't shy away from it. It's good to notice these little differences in our body. That's what yoga does. Helps us find a bit of a balance in our body. Coming back out of that side plank if you haven't already, and you can come back down into child's pose. Just rest here for a full breath in and out. Maybe 2 or 3 if you want. So no rush, but we're gonna find our way back to downward dog again. So I'll meet you there in a couple of breaths. Again, don't need to rush it. Take whatever little flows you want on the way there. Good. And then meeting in downward dog. Okay, we're going to make our way to the front of the mat. So you can walk, you can step, you can float, you can teleport if you so desire to the front of the mat. Lifting halfway first in a forward fold. Exhale, folding in. Good, press and lift. Through the glutes, the heels, we lift. And then maybe interlacing the fingers, drawing everything up. Relaxing through the shoulders a little bit, just making a bit of length in the spine, doing a lot of folding in here with the eagle. And relaxing the shoulders. Good. We're going to move the feet back together again. And this time we're going to lift the left foot to start off with. The left knee lifts up. Draw the tailbone back, the hips back a little bit, coming into this bind of eagle pose. Good, and beginning to sink in. Once you've got it, prana vinyasa flow. Eventually the left is going to come underneath that right this time. So having some testing your balance, close your eyes if you dare. Eventually that left arm is going to sweep vine around, and we're just going to sink in here. You can lower down, lift up, whatever you did on the other side. Good, if it's starting to wobble, shake a little bit, it's good, press up. Whenever you're ready, remember no rush. As graceful as possible. Stepping that left foot back into this high lunge position. Relaxing through the arms, having this closed curtain flow. If you lose your balance, perfectly fine, it happens. Hands come down. Step that right foot back into a three-legged dog position. Inhale it up. Exhale it down, meet that left foot, say hello, switch them around. Inhale, left foot in behind. Tiger curl underneath, so that left knee draws forward underneath, holding it there, squeezing it in, pressing into the fingertips. Good. Inhale that left foot back into three-legged dog, bringing it forward for that high lunge position. So left foot forward, right foot back, both sets of toes facing forward, gripping together. Flowing. We have a bit of fun with this one if you want. You can start to open more into that back bend. Fists can be open, fingertips, whatever feels good. When you're ready, launching into that warrior three position. So that right hip tries to close off. There will be one side that's easier than the other. You can interlace the fingers in behind the back this time if you want something a little bit different. Just with full breath in and out. And then lowering that right foot back, extending that front leg. So you can keep the bind in the arms, or you can flow with the arms, lifting back up, maybe extending them out. It's your choice. This change of arm flow can really change the pose, change your balance a little bit if you're not paying attention. So using that inhale lift into warrior three. Exhale down into your high lunge. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, warrior three. Inhale, warrior three. Exhale, high lunge. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, warrior three. Inhale, warrior three. Get that last lift. Exhale, high lunge. Inhale, lift, and then exhale, lowering down. Hands to the floor. Meet that left foot. Step that left foot back. Three-legged dog. Lower that left foot. Good. So if you want to take one more side plank flow, you can do that. So if you're still trying to step it up even more, you can maybe stack one foot on top and lift that top foot up. You may want to lift both feet. Why not both hands as well? So just staying here as long as you want. Just focusing on that lift with the hip, pressing into the fingertips, bit of a bend in that bottom elbow. Use the muscles. And revolving around to the opposite side whenever you're ready. Good. That breath will support you through. And then you've earned a bit of a child's pose. If you want to take a little vinyasa flow on the way, you're perfectly welcome. Maybe lowering down, taking a cobra or two. locust, upward dog, sphinx if you want it. We're going to have a little bit of free time for about 5 or so breaths. So there's plenty of time to take whatever you want. Maybe a child's pose. And just focusing on the breath. So no matter what you're taking, we're going to really feel into each little movement of the body. We've got these flows forward, back, up and around, whatever we've been taking throughout the class. And we're eventually going to come back to all fours. What we're going to do now is take a little bit of a shoulder stretch. So walk the hands a little bit closer together. We're going to inhale that left arm up first. And then we're going to thread that left arm underneath the body. We're going to shuffle the hips back a little bit as we lower down to that left shoulder. That right hand is going to protect it as we lower our cheek down. So it's a bit of a stretch in the shoulder here. So just be gentle. If you need a bit of padding here, you can put a blanket underneath. If you need something to your head, you can place a block or something. Once you get settled, we're going to bring that right knee up towards that left hand as well. Just settling in a bit. And very slowly, very gently beginning to move towards a reclined twist. So this right hand is going to meet the left hand. We're going to keep that right knee bent. We're going to draw that right hand across the body, over the chest. So that right hand comes out to the opposite side. We're going to look over towards that right hand. Now, we need to make sure that both shoulders are grounded down. So if you ended up here and you can't ground that right shoulder, maybe back away from the twist a little bit. Draw the hips a little bit closer to that right side and just try to soften in as much as you can. So trying to breathe into that belly like a balloon filling full of air. Trying to keep the breath, that diaphragmatic breath in the belly more than the chest. That's good. And just slowing everything down now. So part of this, yes, is stretching, but it's getting that body back into that rest and restore state. Very slowly start to come out the way we came in, so that right hand tracks across. We roll back on that left shoulder. What we're going to do, we're going to peel and lift up. We're going to extend that left arm out to the side. So either directly out to the side, or maybe a little bit forward, a little bit back, whatever feels best for your shoulders. You place that right hand down, and we roll very gently onto that left arm, and that right foot can come in behind a little bit. So if you had a shoulder injury, just be super gentle with this. And remember that child's pose is always available instead of these stretches. You can also take these little shoulder cleansing flows that we've been taking throughout the class. Eventually you can unravel from this. And what we're going to do is just take a nice slow cobra hold. So flush that out a little bit. So lifting up, opening up, good. And then exhale, softening down. You're going to lift up the chest a little bit and draw the hands towards center. We'll inhale that right arm up, and it's going to thread underneath towards the left side. So we're coming into that exact same flow but the other side, so that right shoulder is relaxing down. So same things, adjusting what you need to so you can get that right cheek down. Try to soften in as much as you can. You can roll around a little bit once you find your positioning here. That left knee is going to draw towards that right hand. So that left hand can be your buffer, your kind of rest position, or it can just rest on the hip or in behind the body, whatever feels good for you. And so we're going to make our way to that reclined twist. So the left hand meets the right hand, tracing it across the body over towards the opposite side. Good. Relaxing the shoulder down, looking toward that left hand, and just sinking in. No rush to unravel. When you are ready to, retracing that line back where you came, rolling back onto the belly. That right arm will extend out to the side, and then beginning to roll towards that right arm so that left knee can come around and behind. That left hand can be your support, or it can just rest on the hip or in behind. When you're ready to come out of this pose, doing it very gently and slowly. And then we're going to make our way up and back into a child's pose. Maybe taking the knees out a little bit wider than you normally do, and just stretching back, lowering the chest down a little bit, softening in here for a few breaths. The wider you want to take your knees, might feel good to stretch out the inside of the legs after all that eagle work. We're going to walk the hands back to the body now. We're going to lean to one side. We're going to come into a deer pose. So that left knee is going to come to the inside of that right foot. We're going to relax through the shoulders a little bit. What we're going to do now is while we press that left foot into that right foot, we're just going to lift and open up. Take a little bit of a back bend and stretch through the inner leg. Good. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lowering down. And you can do that once more if you want. Good, and we're going to take this little flow with the left arm. So very similar to what we've been doing throughout the whole class. This time we're really just loosening up through the shoulder, getting this big wave up and around the body, like we're painting a line on the ceiling. Getting that shoulder up and around the ear, loosening off. And then we'll take both feet up towards the front of the mat, lifting the chest. And then we're just going to take a gentle little windscreen wiper motion side to side, looking over towards the opposite shoulder that the knees go. So if the knees go over towards the left, just look over to the right. Keeping that chest up and drawing the top half of the body away from the knees if you can. Just gently, still just slowing everything down here. And then coming into a deer pose on the opposite side. So that right knee is going to come to the inside of that left foot this time. Setting yourself up, a bit of pressure on that inside of the foot, and just a few little gentle lifts. Just a bit of a quad stretch, bit of an inside groin stretch. You can hold here for a couple of breaths if you want. Otherwise, if you prefer, just to move straight into that little shoulder flow. So remember, you don't have to come the exact same timing as me. If you want to spend a bit longer in one pose and shorten the next, that's fine. And replaying these videos is good because you get to know the flow a bit more and you can start to play with it and spend more time in each pose if you want. Or less. And then extend both legs out. Give the legs a little bit of a gentle shake out. Loosening off. Good. We're just going to take a little bit of a hamstring stretch. So we'll bring that right foot to the inside of the left thigh. We'll lift out. That left leg doesn't need to be straight. It can have a bit of a bend in the knee. We're going to inhale, lift. And then as we exhale, folding forward. Now, if for some reason you don't like forward bends, this doesn't feel good, remember we can place something underneath here like a block, a bolster, a blanket to help support that chest. Otherwise, you can do this on your back. So you're coming onto the back like the part 1 we did, or in that instructional section, you can take a strap around the ball of the foot. Just in these flows, unless we're focusing on it, I'm just not using props just to keep them a bit more accessible for anyone on the move. I'm just folding in, relaxing through the shoulders a little bit. Remember, the goal isn't necessarily to get to this foot. It's just go in this general direction. The hands can be by your side if you want. Eventually, slowly rolling up. Switching around. So that right leg will extend, that left foot comes to the inside. Good, get that grounding. Make sure that right heel is down. That right hip is down. Good, you can lift up. And then exhale, folding down. Good, just sinking in. If you want to take the super advanced variation of this pose, you can maybe try to wiggle your second smallest toe without wiggling the rest of the toes. Still haven't found anyone that can do it yet, but if you can, email me. Just folding in. Just keeping the attention here a little bit longer on the breath, on the body. Whenever you're ready, you can begin to roll up. Extend both legs out. Just take a bit of a gentle stretch. So just drawing the heels down towards the ground. You can have a bit of a bend in the knees. We're just going to take a little gentle lift. Not too much of a stretch. Just lifting up. Opening. You can just shuffle side to side a little bit. Loosening up the shoulders, lifting the chest. And then my favorite, happy baby pose. So peace fingers around the big toes, rolling onto your back, lifting the heels up towards the ceiling. The heels trying to stack above the knees as much as you can, the knees drawing down towards the armpits, relaxing through that back. You can maybe start to extend one leg at a time. Or you can just begin to massage that lower back, eventually bringing the knees in towards center a little bit more. So either knees together, massaging that lower back in little mini circles, making sure that you can feel that lower back on the mat. Or you can separate the knees and take little mini circles in opposite directions. And the best part, lengthening out both legs, taking a big stretch out, arms overhead. Inhale, and as you exhale, out through the mouth, relaxing into your Shavasana. So taking any last movements, any last little wiggles, movements of the arms, the legs, shoulders, anything you need to just feel like you're done, and you can just completely sink into your Shavasana. So relaxing every part of the body, letting it be how it wants, and just starting to focus on the breath again. So as you inhale, notice that belly lifting, expanding, full of air, like that balloon. And then as you exhale, just noticing it coming, falling down towards the floor, the earth. And with each breath, you begin to notice the body feeling a little bit softer, a little bit more relaxed. As you just gently sink in, and just staying here for a few minutes, optimally 5 minutes or more. But feel free to stay here for as long as you want. And whenever you're finished, you can make your way back into your day, just being gentle on yourself as you come back up. Enjoy your Shavasana, yogis. I'll see you next time. Namaste.